Hello and welcome to the spiritguides.co.uk network radio show with your host Mark Chatterton. After a break of a couple of months, we are back with a very special guest who we have been wanting to interview on the programme for a long time. Tonight's guest is Mark Boyle, otherwise known as the Moneyless Man. A couple of years ago, Mark was living and working in Bristol. Yet he gave up his full-time job and sold his houseboat and made the deliberate step of living without any money. This was going to be something Mark would do for 1 year, and this first year of living without money was documented in his book The Moneyless Man, A Year of Freeconomic Living. Yet 18 months later, Mark is still living out in the countryside outside Bristol as the Moneyless Man. So, a warm welcome to you, Mark.
Hello.
Hello, Mark. The first thing I want to ask you is, originally this plan of living without money was going to be for just a year, yet here we are well into your second year as living as the Moneyless Man. What made you decide to continue with your moneyless lifestyle?
Well, I guess the first kind of core reason was the fact that I'd never been happier, never been healthier, never been fitter. So the kind of biggest stress I had coming up to the end of the first 12 months was how it would be to go back into the monetary economy and everything that comes with that, like traffic jams and utility bills and bank statements and working in jobs I didn't like, that kind of stuff. So that was the kind of overriding factor. But of course, one of the most important points also was the fact that it was a philosophy I really believed in. That's the reason I'd done the experiment in the first place. And I guess I just realised that actually this doesn't have to be a 1 year experiment.
Okay.
Sorry, my battery's running. My battery sounded like it was running low there. It just felt like the right thing to do. It felt like I know I can continue on with this as a lifetime experiment as opposed to 1 year, and so I've been doing it for over 2.5 years now.
That's great. Does it get any easier or harder living without money, given that you are now established in your lifestyle?
It's definitely much easier now. I don't even think about it, to be honest, unless I'm doing interviews and that kind of stuff. You form, it's obviously at the start it's quite difficult because you've got to form all new routines. If anybody has ever left their job or changed house or changed car, they can understand, how many problems kind of change brings. So you can imagine how it feels to wake up one morning and know you can't spend any money or receive money for 12 months. But once after the first 3 or 4 months and all my addictions had kind of started to ease off, then the life became not only became much easier, it actually became the most beautiful way I'd ever lived. It just became very, very enjoyable and really deepened my connection with the earth and with the people around me. So because it has to, that's the only way you can actually live this way. So it's much easier now. But having said that, I set myself up originally just to do it for 1 year, and so the fact that it's I never intended it to be over 1 year, so that has given rise to some problems. But we're working on solving those kind of long term.
Good. I understand that you get your food from a mixture of foraging, growing your own, and skipping, which is getting food that shops and restaurants throw out. Do you ever find that you are lacking in a mixed, healthy diet, or all your food needs met?
Yeah, not at all. I've been. I'm fitter now than I've ever been. To be honest, I'm healthier than I've ever been. I don't get sick anymore. I think the last time I was properly sick was before I began living without money. I think I've had one stomach bug in the meantime, and from completely my own fault, and that's been it. So people always think that I'm kind of going to go hungry and all that, but I've actually put about 2 stone through eating kind of fresh, really healthy food, and from doing the amount of exercise that I have to do to stay fit for this kind of lifestyle. So it's been actually the opposite of what you would think.
As part of you living without money, you founded and set up the Freeconomic movement, Could you tell us a little bit about this and how it works?
Yeah, it's there's a few levels to Freeconomic. On the kind of more superficial level, it's about sharing skills, sharing tools, kind of reducing your impact on the environment. And but the more deeper level is about getting people together, changing the kind of the predominance in this culture, where the way we look through the way we look at the world is through a lens called how much can I get, and I guess what we're trying to do is change that lens to a lens called how much can I give. And what it's doing is just linking up people who have got skills they're willing to share for free with people who need those skills. Process people get to meet other like-minded people, usually friendships and strong kind of resilience between people, and everybody reduces the environment in the process. So it's kind of a win-win-win situation. It's now in over 150 countries around the world with kind of active local groups in those countries. And so, for whatever reason, since the crash back in 2008, it's really taken off. And it's actually interesting in countries such as Ireland and Portugal, which have been kind of recently bailed out by the IMF. It's kind of exploded in countries such as that. So it seems that when people lose faith in the predominant economic model, they look for alternatives, and so Freeconomic has been kind of helping people who no longer have full faith in money being security.
Because I was going to ask you, there's more and more people around the world seem to have this vision of a world without money. Do you see the present monetary system as collapsing one day then? Yeah,
of course. It's been incredible since I started this journey. When I first started, I didn't know anybody really who was talking about living without money, or even contemplating it, to be honest. Maybe that was because I wasn't heavily enough involved in it. But now it's almost everywhere I look, people are talking about it, or moving in somewhat that kind of direction. From often sometimes in kind of slightly different philosophies than my own. But it does highlight the fact that people are definitely questioning the monetary system, and they can see the flaws. You don't have to have a PhD in economics to see the flaws in that system. Although a PhD in economics would actually help to see the flaws in that system, to be honest. But yeah, so I think you're right. I think people are losing faith in it, and so they're looking to build something else. I think the problem is that the powers that be that are holding the current structure together don't want any change to happen. So they make it incredibly difficult for any kind of alternative currencies or alternative economies to actually succeed. So that is one difficulty, is that the status quo wants to stay the status quo, and it's got the might of the military and the police behind that. So it's an awkward situation, because we're destroying the planet at the moment, absolutely destroying it. 50,000 species every single year are going extinct because of civilization. And what we do as human beings, and because of the way we want to live, and it's just not good enough anymore.
Yeah, because on your website you've drawn attention to other people around the world doing the same as you and living without money. Are you aware of anyone else in the UK or Ireland who've been following in your footsteps?
I'm not aware of anybody in the UK or Ireland, to be honest. There's a bunch of us that are working on setting up the Moneyless Village, and so I've got a few people who are in the process of converting to moneylessness, I guess you could say. But to be honest, they haven't started that. They haven't fully engaged in that process yet, mainly because they're working on doing it long term as opposed to in the next couple of weeks. So yeah, there will be more and more people coming on board. I think as the village progresses and shows an alternative way of doing things, like a completely localized way of doing things, then I think more and more people will as well. So I think it's something that's been building momentum online, especially, but now more so in real life. And yeah, you're right. Since when I started, I think there was 2 people living moneyless, and because we had a little bit of contact at the start. But now, from what I'm aware, it's quite a lot of people worldwide who are doing it.
So if anyone listening today is considering doing the same as you and living without money, what advice would you say to them?
Yeah, I'd say the first thing I'd say is to have courage, to, no matter if they're considering doing this or considering whatever they're considering doing, have courage to follow through on their beliefs, even if they're completely opposed to what I believe. I think if we all were to change we wanted to see in the world, we'd live in a much different looking world than we live in today. So that's my first advice: have courage and have strength to do whatever it is you believe you want to do. But I think if they decide that moneylessness is what they want to do, then the first thing I would say would be to is to kind of, the first thing I'd done was make a list of everything I currently consumed at that point in time, and obviously had to strike out some things that you just can't make. You can't make iPods, for example, out of nettles and rose hips and stuff. It's just not going to happen. So you strike off all the kind of unnecessary crap that we use today, and then you're left with stuff that is manageable and stuff that is possible, and then you find out ways of either building a relationship with the earth or a relationship with the people in your local community to kind of meet those needs. So then the third part of that is to skill yourself up to be able to live self-sufficiently. So which is never as hard as you think. I always say that it takes a minute to show somebody how to plant a seed, but it can take a whole lifetime to convince them of the need to plant that seed. So if the seed's already been planted, then I think the hard part's been done. The easy part is actually going and doing it. And to be honest, if I can do this, then anybody can do it. I'm pretty crap at almost everything I do. So if I can do that, then anybody can.
Right. I've got one final question. Where do you see yourself as being in 5 years' time?
Probably under a tree, banging a stick against a stone, making some music around a campfire, hopefully with some birds above me and on a river kind of flowing through, and maybe drinking, some pristine water, or maybe a glass of cider that we've pressed from the apples from the tree above us, something like that, I think. But on a more serious note, probably in a moneyless village.
With lots more people around you that followed your lead, maybe.
Or followed their own lead. To be honest, like who've people who I love and care about, and working on a piece of land that we want to get to know intimately, and protect it from the onslaught of civilization and the monetary economy, which are interlinked. Just protecting a land base and protecting the people on it, and protecting the wildlife and the rest of the community of life that we share this planet with.
Right. Well, thanks very much, Mark. I hope that hasn't taken up too much of your time and that the question's been okay.
No, thank you, Mark. Perfect, man, yeah.
It's been a pleasure speaking to you, Mark. And if any of the listeners are interested in learning more about the free economy community, you can log on to the website at www.justfortheloveofit.org.